LiNKX originally was basically the idea of getting talented people together, create an environment where those people flourish and go use their knowledge, use their best practices, and solve interesting problems in society by giving them full authority, full trust, full support.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Brian Rios from Wahl+Case, and today I'm joined by Mohammed Osamnia, co-founder and CEO of LiNKX. He also goes by the name Ossa, which is how I call him. Ossa, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Nice.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about what LiNKX does?
LiNKX is a technology company that was born in the middle of the pandemic, which was quite an event that hit the whole world and changed how we live our life and how business world is also need to change to adapt to the new environments. And that was for us a very important timing to try to challenge and launch a company that tried to solve some of those problems. As well as we know, Japan is facing quite a population issue. It's an aging, it's an Asian population country, and the man-hour is reducing dramatically in the next 10 years to 20 years. So we believe that to keep up with today's GDP, today's productivity, we need to leverage technology to keep up with the lack of manpower that will hit Japan as a society in the future, but as well many other places in the world. So that was the kind of the inspiration, and we felt like the pandemic was a very big trigger for us to say this is the right timing for us to jump in and do something about it. And we've been running for about 3 years, and in the last 3 years we have done several kind of projects. So by nature we do consulting. We build technologies for customers. We have both softwares and robotics capabilities. So we tend to solve different kind of solutions that leverage hardware and sometimes software, sometimes a little bit of both. And we went through a lot of try and error in the last 3 years. As any new company, as any new startups, you try things, it works, things doesn't work. And what we basically conclude in the last 3 years as a company is that we found 3 businesses that start to grow fairly fast because of the demands, because of the market adoption. And that's why at the moment LiNKX offer 3 business segments. One is fintech, so we help financial companies to build modern cloud solutions for consumers and for basically supporting their new business. And also we're working with companies that does R&D, so we call it lab automation. So it's a service that helps researchers keep up with their productivity without doing daily tasks manually. So we leverage robotics and software to combine their daily operations and keep up with their productivity and standardize their overall workflow. And also we have a product that is called ShikAI. It's for social tech. We are helping visually impaired people in Japan to be able to navigate independently from point A to point B. And we are doing that in collaboration with railway companies like Tokyo Metro, JR West in Osaka. And that's more for an inclusive society and for more like giving back to a specific group of society. And so these are the major business categories exist at LiNKX today.
Those are all amazing, yeah. It's interesting to me too how at first glance, maybe those seem a bit disconnected. And so for you, what do you feel like is maybe that connective sort of tissue that brings all 3 of those business units to function under LiNKX?
Very good question. I strongly believe what connects us is the sense of community that's built in the company, and that those people who are at LiNKX are all believing in doing good, leveraging technology to add value for people, value for society. The industry, the solution might be different, but the purpose is the same. How we can add value and make people do more with less effort by leveraging technology.
Okay, so you've brought together this group of people who really believe in empowering people with technology and making society better through technology. How did you bring those people together?
Yeah, so how we brought those people together is how we created LiNKX. LiNKX originally was basically the idea of getting talented people together, create an environment where those people flourish and go use their knowledge, use their best practices, and solve interesting problems in society by giving them full authority, full trust, full support. So that's the kind of the concept of the company. But what also inspired me to get into this concept, why I feel very strongly about it is, so I came to Japan about 10 years ago. The reason I came here, I got a scholarship. And I got what they call it, Monbushu scholarships. I came here to do my PhD. So I studied at a school called National Institute of Informatics. It's not far away from here. and I was studying computer science. And at that time, I had the privilege to work and learn and collaborate with some really talented engineers. Even at the level of university, level of PhD education, they were super talented already. And after that, I also went and started my experience in startups and the tech industry. I worked in a healthcare startup where we were building technologies to build chatbots. Actually, that was the timing when I got to know Wahl+Case people, actually. They helped us back then to hire engineers. I think some people are still here. So, and then I worked in another company where we were doing consulting and building software project in collaboration with Microsoft, and the focus was financial industry. So these were the two main highlights, professional experience I had in Japan, beside my educational background. But what is common across all of this? I had the chance to work with great people, great engineers, who had the passion to solve interesting problems, but unfortunately, in some scenarios, they were not giving the right chance. They were not empowered. They were not giving the right, how can I say, voice on the table. And I honestly believe, a strong believer, engineers are really great problem solvers if they're given the right chance. And that's something I start to feel strongly about, like how we can get all these talented engineers to use the best of their skills to solve interesting problems. And that was the idea, is like ideally create this environment, come in together. Probably we don't have which problem we want to solve, but if you have those people together, we will figure it out. Like, it was very simple, to be honest. Like, nothing like maybe extraordinary visionary or whatever. But the foundation was getting people together, give them a chance, and let them show what they can do to the world, actually. That's what really inspired me to start LiNKX. So to start this, I've been thinking around like how to start. So starting a startup, there are many patterns, right? You gotta start with the idea, then you get some seed investors, come up with the idea, and then build it up, right? Consulting business, you gotta get customer first, right? You get a customer, and then you go and hire people. But also, if you get a customer, you don't have any engineers, they were like, you're not ready, I will see you later, right? So it's like a chicken and egg problem that happens quite often. And also getting those people together, you wanna give them a sense of stability and basically to let them focus to be creative and solving problems rather than worrying about financial aspects, whether we're going to raise money next, right? So that's why the nature of the business was very different from maybe other startups that are validating an idea or a specific business model. We wanted to solve existing problems that we already see in the market. And there are already big players who are trying to do it, but we don't believe the way they are doing it is the right way. So looking around, and that's where sometimes luck happens. So I strongly believe in luck. And this is where it gets a little bit, I don't know, interesting. But I met who is now our advisor, Yuichi-san, and we were neighbors, actually. We were not living far away from each other. We are both coffee lovers, so we drink a lot of coffee. And we see each other at the coffee shop all the time. And yeah, it's been like this for several months, but we never spoke to each other. But one day, it was my son's birthday, it was 1-year-old birthday, and I invited him if he's free, because I'm gonna be kind of occupying that coffee shop to invite my friends and have a party. I said, if you're free, please join us. And he came, and that was the timing we started to talk to each other. And he was running the previous company from where we spin off called Progress Technologies. And that company was a hardware company, and it was focusing on like 3D design and more like advanced mechanical solutions. I was running for over 15 years. But he also had strong will and strong interest in the software business. And we had a couple of meetings, a couple of discussions, and we had really good synergy about this idea of creating the environment where talented engineers can solve good problems. And basically, we just got into an agreement that maybe we should start trying this business inside Progress Technologies. So it's more like an incubation program. And if that business works out, then we can spin it off as a company. So it's a trial. So I had the chance to create the environment, able to hire talented engineers, even without having any customers at that time. And that was the biggest support, to be honest, I was able to get to launch the business. Because to get those engineers, as I said, you need to be able to, secure enough finance to pay the salaries. Even if you can't secure the business for a couple of months, you need to be able to run. And that was a huge support, to be honest, to have. And yeah, that's how it started. I got a couple of engineers who I know personally. We met and we worked in previous companies. And the idea was, let's get together and solve interesting problems. And after that, we were able to secure interesting customers. Customer bring another customer. Originally, we were hoping 2 years to incubate before we launched, but we did it in 9 months, and that's how LiNKX was born.
So you had the inclination that if you just bring people together that are good problem solvers and people you believe in, that the business will come almost. You had kind of an idea of what customers you would be targeting, and then you were you worked together to create that space within Progressive. What was the name of the company?
Progress Technologies.
Progress Technologies. And you planned for 2 years and it ended up happening in 9 months, and you were able to launch LiNKX from that incubation.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's surreal. And so, wow, I didn't. So this is kind of a tangent, but I want to say it anyway. We recorded a company culture video with you. We were able to go to your office, and the environment was different than most of the other sort of technology-heavy companies that we've been to. From my perspective, it felt much more communal or collaborative, and so I think having that sort of sense of purpose that you described and really bringing them together really shines through in the people you've hired and the work that you guys are doing. Everyone seemed to have fun, and everyone was really also just willing to work with us, which I think can be rare, especially when cameras get involved. People kind of tend to shy away from them or not want to be on it, but everyone was very willing to be on and like say things and talk in front of the camera. So I think, yeah, it really speaks to that vision that you're able to bring together. And
I'm glad you felt that way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. And from your perspective, you kind of mentioned luck and these things that all built into building this company. But what were maybe some of the biggest challenges that you felt like you encountered when you were building this or kind of, creating LiNKX as it is today? Yeah,
so obviously we faced a lot of challenges to get where we are today. And still we're facing challenges today. And we just have to keep going through those. And at the very early stage, obviously, as I said, you got chicken and egg problem, right? You got to get customers, or you got to keep hiring engineers, or you do both at the same time. Usually you got to do both at the same time. But what I concluded with time is having good engineers, good talent, good people with you, business will come eventually. Might be a little bit biased on this idea, but I strongly believe in it, and I saw it happening again and again and again. Chasing customers is very important, but chasing that while forgetting to take care of your own people, you end up losing the most important asset you might have in the company. And when you go to consulting type of companies, the biggest asset is the people you have in the company. So you gotta take care of that really, really well. So the challenges is obviously hiring people into newly built companies, spin off from hardware, barely nobody know it, and we do a little bit of everything. So it was very interesting to hire people because it was a little bit not clear yet what are we aiming to do. At the same time, as I told you, we were in the middle of the pandemic. Everything was remote. Everything was different, right? It was really challenging to get to people. And I like to meet people in face-to-face, to be honest. I'm very in-person type of person. I mean, I strongly believe in remote work. Most of our members work in remote, but I like the in-person touch. And it creates a big difference when you meet clients and members in person and talk about specific important topic. We were not able to do that for almost 2 years because we were born in 2020 July. That was a huge challenge for us to keep the company identity growing, hiring new people and getting new customer while we are completely fully remote, even though everybody is in Japan. Like if we are fully remote, people, all over the world, okay, but we are all actually in Tokyo, probably like 1 hour train from each other or maybe less. But we were not able to have that chance. And that was a really huge challenge to keep the company balanced about what are we aiming to do, keep reminding people our mission and vision. But at the same time, we had different kind of project, okay? So each project has pros and cons. We learned something about it. But what we also realized is that without specializing in specific industry, it's get very hard to appeal what are you trying to do. There's this thing in Japanese, nandemo dekiru, nandemo dekinai. So if you say you can do everything, it means you can't do nothing, right? So focusing is very important. And although we had the great skills, great engineers in the company, but creating that kind of focusing cycle was something we had to go into. That took us some time because we wanted to experience different kind of project, and that's how I told you we ended up into going to fintech, lab automation, and social tech. Is because we learned through the last 3 years that doing many things, different things, can be very time consuming, energy consuming. It's also challenging to develop clients and hire talent. That was a big learning curve for us, and we're trying to overcome that moving forward by more focusing into specific business, become specialized, but keep the identity and the story the same, which is getting talented people who wants to solve interesting problem and make the world a better place to live in.
Nice. You mentioned that chicken and egg problem of hiring great people versus getting customers. And the solve for you was bringing great people together and the customers will come.
Absolutely.
How did you end up getting your first customer?
Yeah, as I told you, we were in a hardware company, right? So Progress Technologies was very well known in more like hardware, 3D design, robots, embedded systems type of services, but not cloud software engineering type. So we incubated in there because, as I told you, the person I met, we had great synergies. I would rather go here than maybe in a more tech environment with less synergy and less alignment in terms of mission and vision. That was the kind of the bet I wanted to go for. And how did we get our first customer? So to be honest, the first customer we got was a financial organization. It was a bank. And they were working with a big vendor. And one of the key members who was working on the customer side was someone I worked with closely in previous experiences. So we had that relationship. And, after he knew that we are creating this team with a couple of engineers that actually he also know very well, it was like, let's give it a shot. So it was a referral customer. And that's why I always say to people, build good network, build good relationships. You never know. You don't build it for a specific purpose. Just build it because you care about people. You never know what happens in the future. And that was a huge reminder for me why this is very important to build a good network with people, because that person ended up helping us to promote our team to the senior management, and that's how we got our first chance to work to get the first customer, even though we were in a hardware company. And then after that, it just started to pile up, one customer after another.
That's amazing. I remember when we first spoke, I think you told me that you hadn't spent any money on marketing. Is that right?
So far, yes.
Yeah, see, that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. And you built the whole business basically on, I want to say word of mouth, but I feel like that's kind of a limiting term. I almost feel like just the quality of service that you were delivering to your customers is really what kind of built that flywheel and that momentum.
Exactly. Do good come to you.
Yeah. So one of the most interesting products that we talked about when we first did the first video, the company culture video, was the ShikAI product. And I was wondering if you could maybe tell us a little bit more about that product.
Yeah, sure. So ShikAI is under our social tech, social goods type of technology. But to be honest, ShikAI started way before even I joined Progress Technologies. It started by our advisor, Yuichi-san. And it was actually there probably 1 or 2 years even before I joined the company. The ShikAI is simple technology, but yet very, very effective. It helps visually impaired, especially blind people, to go from point A to point B independently inside the Tokyo metro stations. I mean, Tokyo, wherever you go, the yellow rail, the yellow paving path is all over the stations. Those paving paths, they tells you that you are on them, but they don't tell you where you are. They don't provide any navigation information. So we are lucky enough to be sighted people. You go to the stations, you want to go exit A5 because your friend is waiting you there. You follow the sign. Signs are printed everywhere. That is not given for blind people. Blind people, they don't know where they are. So unless there is a staff from the station to come and pick them up and take them where they are, where they want to go, they cannot move by themselves. So the ability to go from point A to point B is not possible. And as I mentioned earlier, Japan is an aging population. There are less and less manpower. So moving forward in the future, there are going to be less staff to support those visually impaired people, or even people with disabilities, like, for example, wheelchair people that need to find the elevator to go up, or sometimes need to find the bathroom. Having access to those information is very, very important for those people's life. And that's how we created the technology where we kind of digitalize the stations. We create a digital map, and then we create pointers as QR code, very small one. We put them on the yellow pad. So when you read the mobile, we have a mobile app where ShikAI can be basically used. So you open the app and then you just read where you are, and then wherever you want to go, it's just going to direct you to your destination. So the purpose is to help visually impaired people to go from point A to point B independently. So we strongly felt that this product has a strong connection to what LiNKX wanted to do as a company, to create technology for social good, but not only for society, but also for inclusive society, which is why we decided to bring ShikAI as one of the products inside LiNKX when we spin off for Progress Technologies. And just to note on that LiNKX and Progress Technologies are fully independent companies. So when we spin off, LiNKX has been created as a fully independent company. We have no more connections with Progress Technologies, and that's how we are building LiNKX fully independent by the current management team. And that's how ShikAI happened to start, and that's how it's lived inside LiNKX umbrella right now.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting product. And you mentioned before when we were speaking that there were other companies with similar product offerings, but could you maybe expand a little bit more on what's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, products, to be honest, solutions for visually impaired people, or solutions usually for such kind of a segment, is very hard to sustain because, as you know, the market segment is small, yet it's very important. Like if no one helps them, then who's going to do that, right? But if you think about it from a monetary perspective, a business model perspective, it's going to be hard to be very sustainable, which is why some companies that launch solutions to help visually impaired, they have the tendency to shut it or stop supporting it because it's hard to make some sort of revenue or money from that. At LiNKX, we are designing it in a way to keep it a very low-cost product to be maintained, but at the same time, we don't want to take it out because the users, the blind people that we are very close with, they keep telling us how helpful this is for them. And for us, that means everything, which is why we want to keep supporting it as a way for us to, give back to society, and especially for those visually impaired and inclusive group in our society. So there could be other solutions show up, but how sustainable, how long it's going to last, that's a very questionable. ShikAI has been in the market and being used for over 5 years so far. We are slowly expanding it. Last April, we went to Osaka station. Recently, we launched in Tsukuba. And slowly, it's baby steps, but it's better to have some steps than having nothing at all. So that's something we strongly believe in the company. And we're doing our best to bring it to people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
One of the other things we had talked about, another area that you want to sort of impact is the SI, system integrators in Japan, and that culture. Can you talk a little bit about what you saw and then maybe what you wanted to change also?
Okay. Well, that's a very important topic that is not so much discussed in Japan, surprisingly. Because, when you look into startups, ecosystems, and all those kind of innovative ideas and solutions, it's great. We need a lot of those startups. A lot of startups are doing a fantastic job. But at the same time, if you look into Japan market distribution, it's very interesting from the rest of the world. There was a report a few years ago from McKinsey. It might change, but the latest data I saw, when you look at IT distribution, IT talent in Japan, 30% are located in tech companies, startups. Like tech, like Rakuten, Line, Mercari, all those are considered tech companies, right? 70% are considered located in IT vendors. And IT vendors are usually what are referred to as SIers, system integrators. Those are companies that exist for the last 2-3 decades, have been here since the beginning of on-premise servers. They build data centers, they integrate your business logic, your internal system. They take care of everything for you. And they've been doing it for several decades so far. And that's why most of the IT talent is located there, because Japan is a very enterprise-driven market. A lot of enterprises in Japan, and they don't have their own IT talent. So they are heavily dependent on IT vendors. And that's why most of the IT resources are located in the SIers. But if you look at the last 5 years and moving forward, digitalization is eating the world, right? It's been for a while that says every business is going to be a software business. And a lot of companies want to leverage technology to add business value to their consumers, including companies that are not IT. Like non-IT companies want to launch. Like I gave an example of banks. Banks are creating new value for consumers. They don't want people to be struggling to open an account, or, oh, I can't go to the bank because it's closed at 4 p.m. Oh, I need money. I need to send this person money. Oh, I can't do that. That is not acceptable anymore. Like, people have expectation to access to that money anytime, anywhere. That's the new expectations from the digital era and how it's impacting consumers' behaviors. So even non-IT companies are trying to adapt to create software services for their customers. So now it's in the execution aspect, and that's where it differs, right? So what's, at least I personally witnessed a couple of times in Japan, is that enterprise, they have a strong interest to build those software. They really want to do that, but they have the limitation of the knowledge and the IT. So they go to some of those SIers, and the SIers business model is very different. They tend to focus on quantity, so they try to make the project as long as possible, as big as possible, because that's how they maximize revenue. And once they maximize revenue, they try to vendor lock in the customer. It's a very popular concept in Japan, vendor lock in. So you're locking in the customer so they can keep paying you for the next 10, 20 years. That's how you sustain the business. And it's been like this for many years. And it's something, to be honest, bothers me a lot, because I feel it's a huge part of our social infrastructure. And without doing anything about it, of course, as I said, like, there are a lot of great startups building great product. You can consume those products, yes. But for those companies who wants to build their own solutions, this is not enough. They are looking for another solution. And the only available solution now is those big technology vendors. And that's where the whole problem is happening right now, in terms of how can I break in from vendor locking? How can I control my cost? And how can I know what's happening behind the scene? Because the customer is paying usually for the solution that they are trying to build, but they have no visibility over there, and they have no control over it. And that's the beginning of the problem. And I mean, it's not a recent problem. It's been a problem in the market for many years, but I'm strongly believing in this problem that needs to be solved. And it's a huge part of how Links work in the consulting and development aspect to try to be, we're still a very small company, but we're trying to make some change in this vendor locking culture. So, of course, you're going to ask me, so how are you doing that, right? So I can tell you, before you ask that question. So the way we think is that we're trying to eliminate vendor locking, okay? But at the same time, we want to make the customer feel ownership over the system they are spending money to build, because we strongly believe this belongs to them. It's their system, it's their asset, and unless they control it, unless they know it, they can't make it sustainable. And in the future, what's going to happen? You can't depend on someone for the rest of your life. So from those aspects, we try to create our way of development. We call it more like one team. It's more like a definition. So what that means is that our team, which are usually mainly engineers, software engineers, work with the customer engineers. Also, actually, to be honest, the reason why our model is starting to happen in Japan, because also Japan is changing, to be honest. It's still early stage, but a lot of companies are trying to do by themselves. They start to get away from this vendor locking, even without us telling them, don't do that. So they start to do things, what they call it in-house development. Or, recently with all the DX buzzword, or like, I want to do by themselves. But what that really means is that I want to transform my people to become digital people and create new added value to my customers. And that's why I can transform the business chain in the company. So, of course, doing by themselves is not enough. They still need a hand to show them what is the best practice, what is the best way to execute. So here they either choose to go with the big vendors, but the big vendors doesn't fit their model because they really want a vendor lock in everything, or they might come up and find Links today. Because the way Links do is actually creating a joint team from our engineers with the customer engineer, and we try to build a system together. We try to do a lot of coaching sessions. We try to help the customer engineers to get up to the skills necessary to maintain the system. So there's no vendor lock-in, there is full transparency, full visibility between what we are doing, what the customer is doing. And we strongly believe when we finish this relationship between us and the customer, they will not be ended up with a piece of software or piece of system, whatever it is. They will end up with the solution, but at the same time with an experienced team, because they're gonna learn and monitor how tech team build modern solutions. And for us, that's the most impactful way to achieve a sustainable change. It's the most how can I say, it's the way to make an impactful, sustainable impact, because it's gonna live within those people. When you change someone's life, you change their way of thinking, you change their behavioral and how they execute, that's gonna live with them for the rest of their lives. Giving them a software is great. They will use it, great, it works, but we believe in giving them an experience. And that's what customers get when they work with us. And as you said earlier, why we are not doing any marketing, because this way of working is getting strong attention from our customers. And that's why some of the customers are talking about it to some other companies. And that's how we got some other companies. And that's how we are growing our businesses. You said marketing, but to be honest, even our company is over 90% engineers. They are either robotics engineers or software engineers. So we are a technology first company. And that's why the power, the authority, the voice is always the technology people. Actually, there's, I think, but we have only one salesperson in the company. We don't have a marketing division yet. But still, we were able to have a certain level of growth, because when you care about what you do and your customer really see it, that you don't want to just, I almost said bullshit them, but yeah, cut it off.
You can say it.
Yeah. Now, when you show them that you really care about what you're trying to do, trying to help them, they will eventually really appreciate that. And they will also see the value of that, and they will try to promote it to their friends in other companies. Like, hey, stop working with us, where you're just wasting your time and money. This is where the value is. And this is how we're planning to scale in the future, and how we want to impact more people, more lives, and build more valuable softwares and services in Japanese markets.
That was amazing. So continuing on from that, you mentioned the one team kind of model that you guys use. One of the things that stood out to us when we were there was that you had your clients in your office, literally working in your office with the team to build the solutions. Can you talk a little bit maybe about the ethos behind that, or how that started for you guys, like in office?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, saying one team, it has to go as a real team, right? So it's not just in terms of like giving them a piece of software. Okay, this works this way, this way. So we really try to create a good environment, because basically influencing in terms of like mindset, culture goes as important as the software part as well, right? So by working together on a day-to-day basis and seeing each other, discussing offline, discussing online, pair programming, working together, we found it to be very impactful and to speed up the level of relationship between our members and the customer members. So it's not something like mandatory, I would say. So some customers, they want to be able to work closely with our customers. Also, our members, with our members, I think I said with our customers. But to be honest, like the customer interest, I get it. They want to be able to work with like engineers who understand agility and modern technologies, cloud. They want to get influence from them. But what impressed me the most is actually the members in LiNKX. They are also very interested to be a part of that. They want to go see the customer. They want to go there and show what the customer need to be doing. And of course, I communicate that as a company vision and mission. But when I see it happening on day to day, that's what makes me proud, to be honest. Seeing the members living up to what we believe in and doing it on a day-to-day work without giving them instruction or, hey, you should do this. They've proposed, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. To be honest, that's what makes my day every day. And yeah, that's the background. It's just to build a good network, build good relationship, and share the knowledge from technology perspective, culture perspective, mindset perspective. And this way we're hoping to make a long-lasting impact on our customers' people and customer business.
Amazing. One of the other things I want to ask about was, in your office, there's a lot of board games.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys have board game nights, or what's the thinking behind having those games?
Board game thing started at the very early stage of the company. A lot of members in the company like board games. So whenever we want to just chill out on Friday nights, people just get some food, drinks, and just play board games. We found it as a very good way to learn about each other, especially those games where you need to kind of be bluffing or kind of trying to be tricky to win in this. It shows the people character and how they think as well. And it really helps creating really good connections. Unfortunately, as I said, during the pandemic, it was very limited. Only a few people who are willing to take a risk to be in person, they come and play. But now it's getting really, really how can I say, constant in the company. And what is also surprising is our customers love it. So some of our customers comes and we do like sprint, like kind of a ceremony for the development. So we see like what we did good, what didn't go well, and we finish like 6 p.m. And after that, it must be board game night. So like you find like the customer engineers, our engineers just sitting around playing a board game. I honestly haven't seen that kind of environments so much out there. And that's something I really want to create and scale in the future, because that's what I feel like that's what work is about, is spending time with people you care about and try to help them be better by using the skills that you know. It can be in engineering, it can be marketing, it can be whatever it is, but you feel like you are helping someone to be better, because that's how we become better.
This is so beautiful. And I love the name LiNKX, because it also speaks to that connection that you're trying to grow. Yeah, is that the inspiration behind the name, or what inspired the name LiNKX?
What inspired the name is exactly as you said, is that connectivity, creating the link. So as you know, we do like robots and digital, so you're connecting cyberspace with the real space, right? Connecting our engineers with customer engineers, connecting global market with local market as well. And that's kind of connectivity, that link that often is missing, is what LiNKX is trying to close. So it's also worth mentioning, as you know, LiNKX is Japan, it's a Japanese company, Japan-born company, but it has the global flavor. Like, I think right now at the company we are about 70% Japanese, 30% foreigners. So we have this hybrid culture in the company that makes it very sustainable and stable. It's not like fully global company, it's not a fully Japanese company, it's something a little bit of both. And that's what makes it comfortable for either Japanese engineers or global engineers to work in the company, because we want to make it as suitable as possible for both entities. And that's what I believe in, creating harmony in the company. It doesn't matter where you come from or who you are. As long as we are united for that sense of community to solve something together, I think that's what gets us together. The rest are details.
Nice. I want to ask you a little bit about being a foreign founder. As you kind of talked about, you created this global culture internally. Have there been challenges that you faced maybe as like a foreigner in Japan, starting a company? I think you had a unique sort of entrance where you were able to kind of be incubated with Progress Technologies, but any challenge that you feel maybe even currently?
Well, challenges are there every day. So yeah, to be honest, definitely, as Japanese market, as everybody knows, is very different market from the others. And there's a language barrier, there's the business manner, there's the business also even custom, how to proceed, the relationship, the decision-making process, how do you need to create consensus inside the company before you get the management approval. These are all things that were very different from what I come from. But at the same time, as you know, I've been here for over 10 years, so it's very, very helpful to get to know the market, to get to know the culture, to get to know the reasoning behind why people think this way. It helps a lot. And that's one of the challenges. The other one is definitely, I think it's related to what Wahl+Case is doing as well, is talent. It's very, very still a limited market to get access to talent. And that makes it very challenging sometimes to scale the business and get more talented engineers to join this community, because there aren't that many as well. And we are hoping, with Japan to get more open, more international talent, also more students from Japanese university who wants to challenge and get into those global environments. It's going to create a high dynamic place, and that can be more attractive, hopefully, for more professionals. But definitely, I see that that's one of the biggest challenges that have been around for a couple of years, especially today. And there's no magic wand how to fix that issue, except just hoping that in the future there are going to be more chances and more professionals shining in Japan.
Nice. From your perspective, do you have any advice or things that you'd want to teach people maybe who are looking to start a company in Japan, or even to that next generation of, you're talking about the people who are going to create that dynamic sort of workplace?
Well, I'm far away from being a teacher. I don't know if I've been running the company for the last 3 years, so give me another 20 years and then maybe I will have enough things to teach. But Yeah, to be honest, what I can say, what I learned so far in very humble couple of years is, we said it earlier, is building a network with people. You would be surprised how much those people will be a big asset in the way you're going to build something up. They can help you to validate ideas. They can help you to connect into where you want it to go. And so, yeah, building network with people. And I mean, this is, I would say, even without trying to launch any business, this should be a fundamental thing, especially when you are in a market or in a society that is not yours. You want to be as connected as possible because, we don't want to be alone because we are coming all the way far from our families, including ourselves. The last thing we want to do is just to isolate ourselves in such a beautiful country like Japan. So just go out there, meet people, get to know what's going on, and that helps you to see the market as well, see what are the bottlenecks, what are the gaps. And launching a business is all about fixing the problem, right? So through seeing the problems from people's eyes and experiencing it and validating it again and again, that gives you so much confidence that this might be a problem worth solving. Let's go ahead and try to launch a solution. And as I said earlier, the way to launch a business can be different from each founder. There's the idea of incubating the idea, get seed investors and build it up. Or, as I said, Lynx is a technology service provider, so we work with customers very closely. That's why the business doesn't need so much investment because we can be fairly sustainable on our own. But some other startups, they need quite an investment to keep validating the business model until it becomes sustainable, right? So both ways are very different, and you got to choose which way you really want to go. I told you the way I believed in is to get people together. And that way I realized the most efficient kind of impact we can do quickly is to do kind of software engineering and service development for customers because that is an existing demand and it's not doing so well in Japan. So it's an obvious problem. Just do it in a better way. You get a solution and try to scale from there. So yeah, build a network, learn about what exists, find the gap, fill the gap with the service, launch it, and do your best. I mean, I don't know if it's enough, but that's pretty.
That's great. Yeah. I think one other thing that you didn't say there, but you came out and what you were saying is believe in your people, believe in the people you're. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Is there anything else like that you'd want to touch on now? Anything else you want to cover? That's basically everything that I had that I for you. But yeah, if you have anything else that you want to add at the end.
Where I see Lynx in the next 3-5 years is, the businesses that we already validated to be very valuable, fintech, lab automation, social tech, are businesses that we are aiming to scale massively moving forward and become a key player in the Japanese markets. So one thing I didn't touch on, but it's really, really important in the nature of the company, although we are doing software development and professional services for enterprise, we tend to use this experience as a market validation timing. What does that mean? While we're working with customers, we try to see common issues that exist across customers in the same industry. And most often we try to come up with a solution that would some of those, how can I say? So while we are looking into existing issues inside those customers that we are working with, we might come up with a solution that can be built by Lynx and basically help more companies in the same industry using the same technology, because as much as we want to help everybody, we are still a small team, and let's say even bring 1,000 people, I still feel it's not enough because there are many enterprises in Japan, there are many issues to solve. So that's why I'm a strong believer in those kind of SaaS solutions and PaaS solutions, whatever the solution that can be accessible across multiple companies through the same product. That is something we also strongly believe in, but the way we want to get there is not by just coming up with an idea and try to go validate it. We want to see those issues in existing customers that we are working with, because that's the biggest way to get inspired, and we validate that this is a real problem and a proper solution doesn't exist. So we try to extract that and come up with our own solution, and then we try to scale it from there. So think about it, in the next couple of years, Lynx will have both businesses. One which is like this one team consulting, working closely with customer, but also we will have our own solutions that will be probably used by multiple number of companies who maybe they don't need the consulting part because they already have their own team, but they need this specific solution because it just solves the problem they want. So this hybrid packages is what make the company reach to more peoples without scaling a huge number of people. And to be honest, that's what we have been doing in the lab automation as well, because we were working with an existing customer to build a system that was very necessary for their business operations. But we noticed that some of the researchers were wasting a crazy amount of time doing manual tasks repeatedly. And then they go to this machine, and then they go to this machine, and then they input the data. And we saw like so much disconnection across the packages that those researchers are using. And that's where we got inspired to create a lab automation where we can integrate this hardware together with the software, visualize the data, and let the researchers spend their time on building, doing what researchers do, creativity, solving complex algorithms, instead of doing the manual things. Just go to sleep, let the robot finish the experiment. In the morning, it's like, okay, I need to tweak this parameter, this. This is what I believe researchers should be doing rather than doing the manual things. But the way we kind of come up and build this solution is by working with customer and seeing it in the real field, in their laboratories. And that's why while doing this consulting, we can learn so much that help you validate the problem that you have in mind. You see the gap, you come up with a solution, and then you propose it. So lab automation is more like kind of a platform that we build, and we are working with companies that does R&D that can leverage those modules that we created. So it's a little bit of both, like kind of more solution servicing and the consulting aspect. Same thing for ShikAI as well. It's a platform license, but it was inspired by collaborating with Tokyo Metro and some other companies. So always help the company, but always look for things that can be repeated across the other companies in the same industry, and that's how you can create solutions that can scale really, really fast.
That's super interesting. Going back to the lab automation portion, this is really more for me than something that I think is widely applicable, but are you selling in the robots themselves, or is it the programs that you're building out for the companies to use with their own robots, or like?
So
yeah.
We don't sell the robots.
Okay.
So the robots that we use are highly called collaborative robots, and there are two major providers. One is Universal Robots, and then the other robots that we use called Doosan Robots. It's a Korean manufacturer, and those robots are great. They do the job, but putting a robot in the laboratory, it doesn't do anything. So what we do, we create the whole service around it. So we have all this connectivity and programs that connect those modules together, and then bring the whole data into the cloud, visualize it, and then you just run the button and the whole experiment starts working. What's happened so far, a lot of companies sell independent robots, but the robot on its own doesn't do anything. So you create the service around it. And the service that we found was R&D automations. And there are a lot of components that are replicable across most of the companies that does R&D, like in pharmaceutical companies, chemical, food. They have a lot of repeated operations. And we noticed like it's a common issue. So why don't we create it once and let everybody use it? And that was the idea, create a program that connect those hardware instead of selling the hardware itself.
That's awesome. That's super interesting. One last question I have is, what's the most popular board game that you get when you guys play the board
Skull.
game? What is it called?
Skull.
I'm not familiar.
Well, you gotta come to our office and play it. It's the only way I can explain it to you.
I'll take that as an invitation.
We have a game on Wednesday.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're invited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ossa, for being here.
My pleasure.
I think you provided a great insight into Lynx and empowering people through technology. And so, yeah, thank you so much. And anything you want to say, like as far as like where people can reach you, best way to get in touch?
Well, if anyone has questions or they need some help, how to get into Japanese market, or someone is in Japan, needs some tips or whatever. As we talked during the interview, I love meeting people. So spending time to meet people over a cup of coffee, you never know what's going to happen after that. So I'm on LinkedIn. So you can put my link there if anyone wants to reach out to me. You can put our website links if anyone needs help or someone is looking for a job. We are often hiring people who wants to be a part of a community, I would say, of group of people who wants to leverage their skills and technology to help others and make society a better place. So if you are either of those people who is looking for how to start or place to join, reach out either to me on LinkedIn, to our website, or to Wahl+Case, and we can take it from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ossa.
Thank you for having me.